So in the next few months, there's going to be an event called Hyperburning. And in that event, you could basically burn a character on Maplestory up to level 250. So if you don't know what that means, when a character is burned, it means that every single level that you gain 3 levels instead of 1 level. And this upcoming Hyperburn event is that same premise, but up to level 250. So I figured I would make a video on how to prepare for it, because you can actually do some things to prepare yourself and be ahead before the event comes. And while preparing for this video, I realized there's probably 4 categories that everybody fits into, or most people at least, when creating their hyperburning character. So hopefully this video can help you guys out, or maybe it'll give some insight to at least one person out there. The first category would be people who are like starting out fresh. It's either their first time playing the game or they're coming back after a long time. They see there's a 250 burning event coming and they think it's a really good opportunity to get the ball rolling, which it is. The second category would be people who want to have like a second main, or they want to jump ship and play on a new main entirely because, you know, they have a way to get 250 really easily. Third category would people who just want to make a boss mule, nothing more, just a level 250 boss mule. And the last category would be people who are super min maxers and they just want the Legion grid bonus and they don't care about anything else. So to go back, the first category would be the people who are starting fresh. And if you're starting fresh on the game and you see this video and you think that, I'll just start playing when the hyper burning event comes, that's perfectly fine. But, if you want to prepare for it, there's some things you could do to make your life a lot easier when you come back to the game and play on your level 250 burning character. So the most important thing definitely is to obviously consider the class you want to play. So how would I go about that? I would go on YouTube and think about the classes that might intrigue you. Like, let's say you think Buccaneer is really flashy and you like it. So I would go watch some Buccaneer training videos, some Buccaneer bossing videos, and see if that's something that interests you. Another way to look at it is if you're in some sort of Maplestory Discord or some sort of community Discord, or even like the Reddit or something. JK, don't call them the Reddit. Just ask people what do they think of the classes. Don't look at something like a DPM chart or DPS chart and be like, oh my god, that class is so strong, I should play that. No, you want to play a class, and this applies to all the categories, to be honest with you, except the min-maxer one. You want to play a class that you really will enjoy logging into, not just because it's strong. Because buffs and nerfs always happen, and you never know what could happen to your class. So you want to play a class that is just fun for you. So that would be step one. Like, consider the class you want to play, and that's honestly the most important step. The next thing is to become a Legion main, honestly. So if this 250 burning character is going to be like your first character, you need to have Legion to back it up. And with the upcoming Night Troop event coming soon, that's a really, really good way to get your Legion going. And with the Zactech video that I made, you could get 6k Legion incredibly fast. So I would recommend doing Legion as much as you can before the burning, so that when you do play your burning, it's way easier. You have your links, you have your Legion blocks, you have all your damage ready, and you could just go and train without much difficulty. The next thing I would do is to try and save as many maces as you can. So this is a little bit harder because if the 250 burning character is your first real, like, stronger character, you're not going to have a character that you could farm on or do any weekly bosses on. So I would just try and do Ursus as much as you can on one of your Legion characters, and Maplestory and daily bosses. If you do that over time, you will accumulate a decent amount of money by the time the hyper burning comes. So you just have to be diligent and consistent and save your money, and you'll be fine. And another thing when choosing the class you want to play, as you're doing your Legion, it will give you a better insight on what all the classes do, and you can probably come to a conclusion on what class you want to play, because not only does the hyper burning not only can you hyper burn a character starting fresh, you can hyper burn an existing character as well. So if, let's say, you're playing Arc, for example, and you're doing the Legion and you really, really enjoy Arc, And instead of just making a whole new arc when hyperburning comes out, you can just hyperburn that current arc and send it to 250. So I think that about covers the whole like starting fresh section. The next section would be for the second main / new mains. So these are the people who already kind of have some Legion on their account. They already have a character that's like decently strong, could probably do up to like Enlomian, maybe farm some Mesos. So it's around that ballpark, I would say. Again, the first thing you want to do is find out what class to play. You probably do have a better understanding of the game at this point because you do have a more established account, so probably won't be that difficult to find a class to play. But consider the things I said in the previous section for when you're starting out. The two most important things I would say when you're at this point and you're preparing for a new main is to farm as many nodes as you can and to save as many maces as you can. So I would recommend, if you're at this point, just train your current main as much as you can and stack as many nodes as you can. You do get nodes for the hyper burning rewards, but it's not that many. So you want to have more nodes. As the more the merrier, basically, with nodes. You can never have too many. Meso, same thing. Save your weekly money, save your daily boss's money, save your Ursus money, save your Maple Tour. All the money that you farm while you're training, save it all for your hyper burning character. So another thing you could do is you could prep gear. So this prepping gear only applies to if your character's like already 200, for example, and you want to hyper burn it. You could like trade Lomian on it. You could get the Apsos ready. You could get the CRA ready. Helix. Helix is incredibly important if you're at this point in the game because Helix does take like at least 2 months to get the gear. So you could prepare the Helix gear, start doing that daily on your character that you want to hyper burn. Back to Legion. Legion is very important as well. You probably already have some Legion if you're at this point in the game, but the same with nodes. The more the merrier for Legion. You can never have too much Legion. Another thing is familiars. So you probably want to have all 3 fam slots unlocked, meaning you're going to want 10 badges. So prepare those 10 badges on that character as well. And little things like your pet, prepare a pet for the character, pocket slot, unlock that shit. Or even your NX, which is the most important part of it. You got to prepare the NX for it. The next category I would say is if you want to be a boss mule. So the boss mule is pretty much the same as a new main / second main. You want to choose the class to play. So the thing about a boss mule is since you're going to 250, you're going to have a lot more node slots unlocked than a typical 220 or 235 boss mule. So you want to consider a class as well that benefits from a lot of node slots. For example, like a mage or a pirate or a thief that needs supporting skills like Last Resort or Overdrive or Shadow Walker or Mana Overload or like Mana Overload / Ethereal Form or Blink and all that stuff. Like when you're 250, you have way more access to the node slot, so you could use a lot more skills. For example, like Bowmaster is really good at 220 because it doesn't need that many node slots. So something like a Fire Poison would be better at 250 because you have a lot more trios, or like a Cadena, you have a lot more slots that you need to play the class optimally. So you could consider that for a boss mule as well. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like you just want to play a class you like for a boss mule. And the rest is the same. You want to prep the nodes, you want to prep Mesos. You could prep gear on your boss mule too. Like you could if you hyperburn a character at 200, do Helix every day on it, get your Apsos, stuff like that. Legion, you want to have as much Legion as you can. Legion is always the most beneficial thing in the game across all your characters. Familiars, you could prep familiars on it. Pets, pocket slot, NX, you know the works. And the last category is if you're a min-maxer. If you're a min-maxer and you're looking at this hyper burning and you just want whatever is the best Legion block, then just consider the crit damage links, Mercedes, Mechanic if you're a mage and you want some more buff duration, or Wild Hunter, you want some extra damage percent. Kana, if you don't have a 250 Kana, gives you boss damage. Blaster, you get some more IED. Same with a Beast Tamer. So you could consider those as just like the best stats to get on a min-maxing hyperburn character. You should also consider it as a boss mule, because you will have another 250 character. You might as well turn it into a boss mule as well. So consider those things for when you're min-maxing, and you should be fine. Hopefully I covered all the different categories for when you're preparing for hyperburning. If anybody else has any like helpful tips on what to do to hyperburn, please comment down below. And yeah, hopefully this can help out at least one person out there when they're preparing their hyperburn. And yeah, thanks for watching, and good luck.